Time now for 1 full hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's the Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Marty Huff and 10-time NHRA winner, Doug Herbert.
This is the Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for being here for our 1 hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Gatornationals funny car winner Robert Hight will be here. Eddie Krawiec proves why he owns the Gators. He will join us, as well as Top Fuel finalist Terry McMillen. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of the Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, you are watching and listening to the Straight Line on MRN.com, streaming live on the MRN app and on the YouTube channel, the Motor Racing Network's YouTube channel, along with 4-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert. I am Marty Huff. Gatornationals in the books for 2016, and early on in the season, Doug, I think one of the things that really stands out are the female performers in Nitro. For the first time since 1990, back-to-back winners in the fuel category, starting with Leah Pritchett at Phoenix, and then finally Brittany Force getting off the schneid, getting her first NHRA fuel win. It's a great time to be in the sport.
Well, that's for sure. And you know, last week Leah's car ran really well at Phoenix, and they went down there and legitimately won the race, the same as Brittany Force did this last weekend. So good job by them. They've got great teams. They've got a good bench behind them and a good backup. So they're what can you say? They're doing a great job. And not so, it's a great thing about women winning, but Angel's been winning a long time. Sure. Courtney Enders has won the Pro Stock Championship the last couple of years. So it's nothing that new. In Top Fuel, I mean, we've had
in the fuel categories,
Shelly Anderson, Lori Johns.
Sure.
Melanie
Troxel.
Melanie Troxel. Yeah, we've had a lot of winners over the last umpteen years. And I'm not so sure there wouldn't be more winners in the other classes if there was just more females that participated in there. I mean, there's really, in funny car and pro stock, there's not been that many women participants, but in motorcycle there has been, and like Karen Stouffer's won a lot in addition to Angel and others. So they're good racers. So that's what it comes down to. They're good racers. They know how to win. They have good teams. They have good equipment, and they're giving sponsors a value.
We knew going into the 2016 season that John Force Racing overall was probably going to be a contender once again with the addition of Alan Johnson, his parts and pieces, and also his backing to the Top Fuel team driven by Brittany Force. I'm not sure we were quite expecting all of this all at once. Brittany Force right now is the leader in Top Fuel, and the other three funny car teams are in the top 5. A marked improvement over last year. I don't think we're surprised that with Alan Johnson's backing that they're doing well, but are you a bit surprised that they're doing it so early?
Not really, because Force has always had a strong team. The teamwork and the ability to run the car, know how to run the car, work on the cars and all that. Yeah. Force has that. That's not been anything. They've just been missing a little bit here and there. I mean, Mike Neff is a sharp cookie over there at Forces, and I think he's their backbone. And I'll tell you what, he might be my top pick if I was going to go hire a crew chief, anybody that I could, a current crew chief. Mike Neff would be right up there because he, you got to have a temperament to get along with Force, because Force is, Force is a great guy. And I love Force, but Force is tough. He's a tough guy because if anybody's ever seen him on TV before, he's a little like a ping pong ball. Bing, bing, bing. He goes around here and he's hyper and all that. Well, Neff knows how to deal with that. And so between Hight and Neff and the girls, I mean, they have it figured out how to work with Force, how to make it happen. And then that little addition of bringing a consultant in Alan Johnson over has been a little bit. And from what I understand, talking to my people involved, is Alan has helped them on their cylinder head stuff and on their supercharger stuff. There's, they were a little bit behind on that. And so now all of a sudden, with as good as some of their other stuff is, and then they've got some Alan help on superchargers and cylinder heads, they're going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, no question about that. And during our first show of the season, we talked to Robert Hight, and we'll talk to him a little bit later on as the winner of the funny car class. But we talked about them bringing Austin Coyle back to the fold. He's not traveling a whole lot. I mean, so he's not there during the day-to-day operations, but he's just there to kind of help in the
at the end of the day, Austin Coyle has forgot more than most people know.
No question.
About drag racing. Okay, Austin Coyle has burned more nitro. Connie Colletta's probably burned more nitro than Austin Coyle, but they're in really rare air there. There is not very many folks that have burned more nitro than Austin Coyle.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that. You have all these experiences and all these things to look back on and figure out, because the same thing doesn't actually happen maybe 2, 3, 4 times over the period, but something similar will have happened. Coyle will say, oh yeah, we had something kind of like that happen before, and this is what we did to fix it. There's no manual to look at when you run a top fuel dragster or a funny car or any fuel car. As soon as you put nitro in the tank, everything changes. But when you have an Austin Coyle or a Dick LaHaye, Dell Armstrong, I mean, there's these guys that have just always been the best.
Yeah.
And, and not to say we don't have new ones, with Mike Neff and Jimmy Prock and Mike Green. I mean, they're obviously really, really good. But those old guys, I don't know. It's something about gray matter. It's gray
that's
hair,
right.
Gray matter. I don't know. The old guys, they're just smart, and they've got all that experience. So having Coyle in your corner to be able to, call up on him, whatever. Coyle's a pretty cool guy, and he's not real hard to get along with. Coyle's pretty easy to get along with. So having Coyle around, I'm guessing Mike, Neff, and Coyle would probably get along good, I would think. And then obviously Coyle knows how to get along with Forrest and Hight and the whole team. So there's a lot of synergy there, and having Coyle back there is not going to hurt him.
And a calming influence. Again, we're talking about trying to get things leveled out. And Forrest is up here,
there's somebody,
and everybody else is down here.
Forrest would always tell me, "Oh, Coyle told me this. Coyle told me that." Coyle would go up to Forrest and say, "Forrest, listen to me. Here's what you got to do."
Yeah.
And that's been good for John Forrest for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys they did a lot of winning together. And Forrest has continued to win because Forrest is good. Yeah. But Forrest learned a lot about winning from Coyle. That's a fact. I don't think Forrest would deny that if you asked him.
Absolutely. The big deal was when John Forrest got that sponsorship money, he got the big sponsorship money, the first thing that he did was bring Austin Coyle into his fold, and then the rest is history from there. For as good as John Force Racing is doing so far this season, I think we can say the opposite about Don Schumacher Racing, and it's a bit surprising. We'll take a look at the right now the top fuel points, and right now leading the way for Don Schumacher Racing is Tony Schumacher in 8th place. Antron Brown is in 10th place, and then you go down to 12th where Sean Langdon is. So for as much as surprising as John Force maybe is early on, I
would say the lack of success from DSR is almost equally as surprising.
Yep.
I got to believe, though, Mark Oswald and Brian Karate and Mike Green and all those guys over there, they didn't get dumb over the winter. No. They didn't just get dumb over the winter. So I got a feeling there's some things they're trying for. They realize they've taken advantage of the countdown point situation. Yeah. They know what's involved there. They know how it works. So, not that being first in points and winning races going into the countdown isn't good, but now's probably not a bad time to be making the things that you developed over the winter, if you feel like they have promise, making them work. Okay, we know this is going to work. We've got to stick with it. It's going to work. And sometimes, you end up getting shot in your foot and you say, okay, we got to go back to what we know. But that's how you also make big leaps ahead. And I'm guessing, if I had to guess, that's what those guys are doing. And I don't have any way to know that.
And I would agree with that. And if we take a look at the funny car points, Ron Capps and Jack Beckman, they're right now 2nd and 4th. But we also know that usually that Jimmy Prock and also the guys on the Napa team, they usually like to run their own stuff. They're comfortable with a setup that they like, and they're just going to do that.
Right.
And the rest of the teams kind of fall in line with DSR, and I'm not so sure. And going along with the top fuel evaluation, that maybe that's the deal. That Matt Hagan right now and TJ and Tommy Johnson right now 10th and 11th in funny car points are probably trying some stuff right now early
That's what
on
I would
in the
guess.
season.
Yeah, and Caps was runner-up here this weekend at
Right.
Gainesville, so he's not running all that bad. And then you've got Jack Beckman that was low ET and top speed at Gainesville, so they didn't forget how to go fast.
Yeah.
They might not have they might not have figured out how to get to the winner's circle quite yet, but they know how to go fast and they know how to win. It's just going to be a matter of time. They haven't fallen off.
No.
They haven't fallen off the face of the earth. Or
No,
anything.
and nothing like that. But it is a bit surprising, especially when you go to Phoenix and everybody at DSR is out after the second round. That'll make you raise your eyebrows. Go to the Gatornationals, not a whole lot of improvement. So,
well, the thing is at Schumacher, there's not a lot of excuses for not winning.
No.
And I know Don pretty well, and I know Don doesn't like to not win. He likes to be successful. He puts a lot of time, effort, money. He puts a lot into it. So he expects the performance that they generally have had. Yeah. And I'm sure Schumacher's also smart enough to realize that Force has been sleeping a little bit.
Yeah.
And now he realizes, okay, well, guess what? The guy that won a bunch of championships over here with us and Top Fuel with Tony is now over there at Forces. I'm guessing they're probably going to be a little bit better. And that's the way it kind of looks.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. When we return, we always like to talk to first-time winners, but also first-time finalists, guys that have been working at this a long time and then finally be able to get a little limelight and run in that final round. A guy did that this weekend. Terry McMillen, finalist at the Gatornationals, will join us next.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. We'll have more right after this.
O'Reilly. Restore your vehicle's lost power by cleaning your entire fuel system with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Right now, buy one bottle, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Keep your engine clean and improve performance with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Buy one, get one free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Before you set your fantasy racing lineup, check in with our experts to get the inside line on who's fast and who's last entering the race weekend. Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett take you inside the facts, stats, and latest news from the track so you have everything you need to set your team and win the weekend. Log on to MRN.com and enter the Media Center every Friday. It's the Inside Line on demand and only on the Motor Racing Network.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
It's everybody just trying to say my last name. They just don't finish it.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
And here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
For the most part, our hearts were wagon makers.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate everybody joining us on MRN.com, and especially those of you listening in on WCGO in Chicago. Thanks for being here on The Straight Line. And joining us on the telephone right now is the driver of the Amalie Motor Oil Top Fuel Dragster, Terry McMillen, joins us. Terry, thanks for being here. We really appreciate your time.
Hey, good afternoon. I appreciate you having me on there. It's a great opportunity to be on there, and I really appreciate it.
Hey, Terry, man, we were happy to see you in the final round down there at Gainesville, especially considering Emily, the Gatornationals, and you always do a lot of pre-race stuff with the NHRA down there in Gainesville. So those Emily guys had to be super excited with you pulling up there in the final round.
Yeah, win, lose, or draw in the final round, I think it was a Super Bowl, and we finally made that step. It's we certainly didn't do it by dominance, but we did do it by being consistent. And I think that for the Amalie as a company and all the marketing partners that they had there with them and all their clients, it was a great weekend. And my phone is still blowing up after the fact. So, but that's an awesome feeling, man. If that's what it's like, I want more.
Yeah.
You brought Rob Wendland into the mix last year, and it looks like his knowledge and experience is really starting to pay off about now.
It really is. I think that we're extremely we're organized, and the guys are trying to get them on the same page to do the same thing every time, and they're doing it now. And we're still not quite as fast as we need to be. Certainly improved on that tremendously again this weekend. But it's just going to take a little time. We got young guys. I think the average age of my guys are like 26 years old, so
wow.
It's very young. And but they're going to be great for the future, and certainly great for our program as well.
Hey, Terry, right now I'm looking at the points, and you got into a pretty nice position there in number 5 in point. What's your expectations for the rest of the year, and what's Terry McMillen and Rob and Amelie and your team doing to power in there and get back to another final round and even get a win?
I'm thinking they spelled McMillan and Milliken wrong, probably, because I've never been in the top 5 this early in the year. I've never been in the top 5, period. I've been 8, 9, and 10, and lost in the countdown race a couple of times, once by 8 points and once by 16. So, to be up there in number 5 spot's awesome. It's just proves the point that you have to go out there and you have to make laps, and you got to at least get a round win every time you go out there. And now we put ourselves in a position to actually have an opportunity to be in the top 10 later on in the year. And I think as far as the team, we're just extremely focused right now. It's all about attention to detail. We're not the powerhouse team, but we're going to be a team that's going to consistently go down the track. And I think right now our track rates, as far as going down the track, we're averaging like 93% of the time we're going to go down the track. And so if we can maintain that and then pick up the performance as we go, I think that we're going to really be in a great position to do that, and to finally get into Indy and get in the top 10, and hopefully before that even maybe try to get another win here in NHRA side. I've just never had one there, and certainly looking forward to it.
Terry, you talked about the youth of your team at average age at about 26 years old. With the new Fox TV package coming around, 17 live events, and obviously that tightens up the show back in the pits. What have your guys done during the offseason and doing now in trying to implement all that stuff that you worked on during the winter for those shorter turnarounds? Because obviously that has really cut down the time between rounds during live broadcasts.
Yeah, absolutely it has. TV is while it's a great thing for the sport, and certainly, going to bring NHRA drag racing to a level, hopefully, that it hasn't been before, it's also caused a lot of pains for all the race teams. And so in our case, we were very fortunate, that Don Schumacher and Antron Brown's team guys came over and gave us a hand on Sunday in Gainesville. Not so much that we couldn't have done it, but certainly their assistance to make sure that we got it done was absolutely much needed, and it allowed us to do a motor change, which usually should be quicker than doing the normal maintenance. But we did a motor change in there just to put a cooler motor in going into the semis, but it's a lot of work right now. These guys got to practice that every day. We gotta have simulate an actual runtime condition in the shop, and just practice of getting quicker, and the key, for them, for the young guys right now, is just organization, and we only have the tools in their box that they need, so they got to make sure they get their tools back and things like that. And if they can do that, they're good enough to get there. It's just going to take some more practice. But again, hats off to DSR and Antron Brown's team, because those guys stepped up and came over and just made sure that we made it through there, gave us a big hand. It was much appreciative, and because I'm not sure we would have made it or not made it, but we just sure went down in the fight no matter which way it went. But hats off to them.
Yeah, it's always good at the drag races when somebody comes around and helps you when you need some help, and I've had that happen before, and really nice to hear that that Antron's team came over and did that for you. Hey, Terry, one thing I want to tell you is thank you for being a supporter of Breaks, and you're the first guy to come into my pancake breakfast always and helping us, and just wanted to tell you thank you and tell you how much that means to me, and I really appreciate your support, and hopefully you can come maybe play golf with us on Thursday before the 4-wide national race here coming up next month.
Actually, I can pretty much promise you that I'll be able to do that. I have to be down there early. Emily has a new location in South Carolina. I'm going to go visit that on Tuesday, so I'll already be there in plenty of time, and I don't have anything at this point in time that I have to do. So I will be there to play golf, and certainly look forward to the pancake breakfast that you do. You help so many people and turn so many lives around. We're really blessed to have you involved, and it's unfortunate. I lost my son as you, and so certainly I know what those pains are all about. But the way you turned it into motivation to make it better for others, my hat's off to you, man. Outstanding job. Well done.
Man, thank you, Terry. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the golf tournament, and hopefully seeing you out at the drag races too.
Well, I'll be drag racing, and hopefully you'll be there as well, Charlie. So.
Well, I won't be drag racing, unfortunately, but I'll come around for a little bit of moral support for you.
There you go. I could use that always.
Hey, Terry, did you figure out what happened in the final round? Because that thing blew sky high.
Yeah, it's really kind of a strange deal, because what happened is the car was going down the track. It dropped number 4, looking at its computer, dropped number 4, and started to push the head gasket, and all of a sudden it just exploded. And the craziest part about it is, Doug can tell you, when a motor explodes internally like that, there's usually a lot of stuff going on. You find all kinds of shrapnel and all kinds of stuff like that. This motor was spotless on the inside. Not a piece of bad metal anywhere. Lifter, rally, nothing. But what it did do is that for some reason, it hydraulic number 4 and 5. It pushed the intake runner into the valve cover. It lifted it right out of the center of the head. So we're not sure really what caused that yet. I mean, obviously it's a valve train failure. We found a broken roller, but that should be the aftermath of the explosion. Yeah. The oil came from the blower snout. With the new 2-piece manifold, as awesome as it is, and it is definitely the best thing in our sport right now, as far as relieving the oil downs on the track from the top half of the motor. The problem is it's coming up and it's separating. It's doing its job, but there's a blower belt and hold downs or push-ups on the blower snout, and they're busting the snout right off the front of the blower case. And that's where the oil came from that we had put down. But internally, it's just, I mean, the only thing you can say is that something happened in the valve train that it had just a lot of fuel where it shouldn't have had it, because it was a clean break, no shrapnel. I mean, only one bearing was pushed on the entire motor. One bearing, and it was only pushed like 3.5. Wow. So, wow. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's just something. We got
to get an engine diaper then on the front blower case, the blower snout. We got to put a diaper. NHRA will put a diaper on that now. Oh man!
Yeah, I think that's coming. Trust me, because I think that's the 5th one they've had so far. While they invented the perfect piece to help keep the oil in the valley, from coming out on the track. The next problem is now it's snapping the snouts, as big as daylight, because it can't come up. The blower can't come up, when it's trying to relieve the pressure, and it's held down in the front. So, so something's going to have to give up there, because it's a problem. And actually, I seen the video of it afterwards, and seen the snout actually, fly up into the air and come down on the track. And fortunately, Brittany was by at that time, and because that could have been pretty ugly had it not been. So, I mean, while something needs to be done, we need to put some kind of a tether system on it or something. It's still going to be, that's the new problem. By fixing one, you create 2 or 3 others.
Yep, that's for sure. Well, Terry McMillen, driver of the Emily Oil Top Fuel Dragster and finalist down at Gainesville this last weekend. Good job down there, buddy, and good luck to you at the upcoming NHRA events.
I appreciate it, guys, very much for having me on the show. And Doug, we'll see you guys in Charlotte. And Marty, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Driver of the Emily Oil Top Fuel Dragster, Terry McMillen, and going for that first NHRA win. And you got to think, with Rob Wedlin in crew, a guy that's got a lot of experience, that may not be too far away.
Well, you know what? It doesn't hurt having a guy like Rob Wedland over there because he's won some races with teams that know how to win, and he's got a lot of friends in the pit area that can help. Obviously, with the Schumacher guys coming over and helping them in the semifinals, that's pretty neat. That's always good to hear when that kind of camaraderie is going around in the pit area. So super job by those guys.
And when we return, we will talk to the funny car winner of the Gatornationals. Robert Hight will join us next.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. We'll have more right after this.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
If you haven't checked out MRN.com's exclusive online programming, you've missed a lot. MRN Motorsports Monday. Review and preview the NASCAR weekends. Winged Nation Talk, Winged Sprint Cars. The latest from the NHRA. On The Straight Line. Dirt, late model, modified, and big block modified talk. Slinging dirt. NASCAR Regional, Local, and International Series on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Exclusive, original online motorsports talk on MRN.com.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my two sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called BRAKES. BRAKES stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now, back to Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being here on MRN.com, streaming live on the Motor Racing Network's YouTube channel and also the MRN app. And joined now on the telephone line by the driver of the Auto Club Chevy Camaro and winner of the Gatornationals, Robert Hight, joins us. Robert, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Robert, got to feel good, man. That I'll tell you what, you JFR guys, towards the end of last year, were thinking, man, Force is not liking being down, and you guys are coming out swinging this year. Great job down this year so far.
Thank you. Yeah, it did start turning around at the end of last year. You know, we went to Las Vegas at the end of the year, and you know, it's kind of uncharted territory for us, not having any of our cars with a chance to win the championship with 2 races left, and that didn't set well. So that was a big motivating factor, and we just need to get our act together. So a lot of hard work over the winter, and it definitely has paid off. And you know, Mike Neff was pretty bummed after the first 2 races because he honestly thought we had a real good shot at winning both of those, but we had some errors made and just some things happened. But we've had a great car all year, and you know, we tuned it up for the final, and it obviously didn't stick. Luckily, Caps's didn't either, and then we got the win light.
Had the opportunity to talk to Ron Capps a couple of days ago here while he was doing some promotional work in Concord. And he described it as driving a dump truck on ice. He was all over that track. Did you see him at any point during your run? Because he was all over the right side.
No, I never saw him. I was fortunate that I caught mine really quick and was able to get it gathered up and you know, made a pretty decent run. But I'll be honest, when you pedal a car like that, you're always just thinking that other guy's going to be motoring by you anytime. But no, I never saw him. But that's kind of a testament to the way my car's been running. If you've got a car that, you know, every other run smokes the tires or is out there shaking, and some runs it'll go through it, well, as a driver, you get pretty screwed up. My car's been making so many nice runs down the racetrack that when something odd comes up, like it is starting to spin, it's easy to catch because it's not the norm. And so I was fortunate enough to get it gathered up and get the win light. That was pretty cool hearing the guys on the radio, you know, telling me we got him. So
How about Brittany getting her first win down there at Gainesville and the first ever double-up win for John Force Racing? That had to be pretty huge and not only make you happy, but make the boss, old JF, happy too.
I think he's a little jealous. I think he wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
He actually had the chance. They did, the previous race. I honestly thought they were going to get it done there, both of them. But just wasn't meant to be. I know Brittany and I were in the final at Denver a couple years ago, and we were going to get it done there. But I'm very proud to share the winner's circle with her. She's worked very hard. And, you guys don't know how close this car came to being another funny car. With the success we had in the dragster, wasn't very good. And, we're funny car guys. John's always been in the funny car and had all the success in the world. And he just figured if we put Brittany in a funny car, she's going to get a win because we know what we're doing. But I'm proud of her. She stuck to her guns. She wanted to stay in the dragster. We put the right people together. One of the first things Alan Johnson told us was, you can't run a dragster the same way you guys run a funny car. And a lot of the parts we manufacture and make just doesn't work in a dragster. So looks like we hired the right guy. He's been in the final of all 3 races with the 2 cars he tunes, and she left Gainesville with the points lead. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah,
no kidding. And, it does bring up a point. Bringing in Alan Johnson, it's hard to go wrong with Alan Johnson. You like me, being West Coast guys, we've known him forever, out there racing with his brother in the alcohol car and coming on through and running Top Fuel and dominating the way that he has and all this stuff. Having him on your bench has not been a bad addition at all then.
Exactly, and he's a pretty good coach. He's pretty good with Brittany, and, like I told her, I said, once you get that first win, the rest are going to start coming easy because your confidence is going to be up. You now know you can do it, and I believe Alan gives her a lot of confidence. He gives her a great race car to drive, but he also makes her believe in herself. So I think the sky's the limit with this team.
As a driver, Robert, have you had to adjust anything within your car or the way that you drive for what Alan Johnson has brought to the table? Do you have to do anything different internally in the cockpit because of the different parts and pieces?
No, basically, Alan Johnson's just on the dragster. We still have Mike Neff leading the funny car charge with our 3 teams, so nothing's really changed on the funny cars. But, I see Mike and Alan, in the evenings, they're bouncing ideas off each other. And I think, they've always been good friends. They golfed, and they were together over at Schumacher's. So it's only helping having Alan. But truthfully, nothing's changed on the funny cars yet.
Well, Mike Neff is at top of the heap and a great guy in addition to a great crew chief. And he knows how to drive the car, so he's got a lot of experience. And that's got to be if he was a guy that I was going to go out, or if I was going to go out and race, he'd be one of my guys. I'd be going, "What are you doing? Are you happy over there at Force?" So you better,
exactly.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one that would think that way either.
That's right. No, he's a great guy. I'm very fortunate to have him as a crew chief, and I've never seen him more focused. And I believe this is going to be a good year for us. It's funny how the tables turn. In 2014, our 3 funny cars won half the races. Last year, we were horrible. And, this year's starting off pretty good. So it's just a matter of hard work and staying focused.
Yep.
Robert, first 3 rounds, your Auto Club Chevy Camaro ran within 4 thousandths of each other in 3 runs, which is mind-boggling. First of all, was that kind of a part of the plan? And second of all, how much confidence does that give you, knowing that when you push down the loud pedal, that you're going to have it's going to be the same way round after round after round?
It is pretty mind-boggling that you can have a nitro car be that consistent.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is, first round, a lot of the dragsters, there was a lot of upsets, a lot of dragsters smoking the tires. So I think Neff slowed it down a little bit, and it ran 96. And then we go up there the next round. He said he tuned it up, ran the same. And semis, he tuned it up again, and it still ran the same. So he wasn't real happy with the way our car was running. Chad Head, we raced the semis. He had lane choice over me. So you knew they could put up a good run. And so anyway, we tuned it up for the final. He says, we're getting after this thing. And we got after it a little too much, but it still paid off, and we got the win light.
Well, what are you looking forward to coming up this year with the cars running the way your JFR cars running the way that they are? What are you guys looking forward to this year? Do you have more tricks in your bag to pull out, or maybe things that you're implementing on the funny car that'll also work on the dragster, or vice versa?
Yeah, we're working on a lot of things. We've already tested more this year than we have last year, and I think that's paying off. But, we've still got that brand new Chevrolet Camaro funny car body coming out. It's been delayed a little bit, but I believe it's really going to help us when we get that. So, that's something we're really looking forward to.
Do you have any specifics on that? I mean, obviously, when we talked to you first at the first of the year, you had mentioned that and didn't know when that was exactly coming out. So obviously, you're saying that it is a little bit delayed. Do you have a time frame on when you're expecting to have that on a chassis?
Not totally. We're still working with metal crafters out here in California. I mean, I don't think Charlotte's out of the order, but when you get a brand new body, there's a lot of work to be done. We've had the fixturing for our current body for all these years, and you got to throw that all away and start over, and you can't do anything till you actually get the body. So it's going to be a mad thrash. We've got a lot of good people in play when it does get here, and I promise we're going to get it to the first race that we can after it's mounted and ready to go.
Well, I'm sure you guys are going to get it out there just as quick as you can. Hey, another thing, too, be sure if you're here for the 4-Wide Nationals in time, love to have you and Mike Neff come out and play golf with us on that Thursday before the 4-Wide Nationals.
Okay, definitely. Mike Neff's the golfer. I'm not a golfer, but
Okay.
I'll drive the golf cart.
There you go. That'd be awesome. We'd love that.
We'll have the driver drive the golf cart. Hey, Robert, 37-20 in final rounds. Usually when you start stacking up the final rounds and the wins, when you look at most drivers' records, it's right around 500, maybe a little bit over. You're 37-20, a very impressive number in final rounds.
Pretty fortunate to have had a lot of good crew chiefs. Jimmy Prock, I was with him a lot of years, and now Mike Neff. We had Austin Coyle and Bernie Federley in the mix for a lot of years. So it's really the teams that have been around me. It's given me a really good car, and I'm very fortunate.
Well, great job down at Gainesville, and, man, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the success of not only your team but everyone over there at John Force Racing. You guys are knocking them dead.
We appreciate it, guys. I told my team, it's like we're going to celebrate tonight, but, boy, we're going to get back in the shop this week and get right back after it because the rest of those teams are gunning for us.
Well, one thing I always remember for years, we're out there racing and testing on Monday, and John Force is out there every Monday. They're testing, and I'm thinking I'd ask Coyle or Force or Bernie, what are you guys doing out here on Monday? Hey, man, we got to stay after it. We're everybody's there right on our tail, and it was like, man,
right.
That was a lot to be learned from those guys and their determination and strength pushing on. So makes sense what you guys are doing now with all the testing and the performance, the performance changes that it's showing.
Are you going to have your car out at the 4-Wides, Doug?
No, I'm not. I might have my I'll be out there driving a Kia around or something, but I won't, not a top fuel car, unfortunately. I'll come over. I don't know if I'd fit in your car. I'm too big and fat. But if I could, I'd come over there and swipe your ride from you.
You'd make me look bad.
No, I doubt that. Thanks, though.
Robert, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on your win at the Gatornationals, and good luck at Vegas. I know that's one of the places that has really been good to JFR is Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. John and I were both in the final of the first race last year. He got me, and then I won the second race. So yeah, we've had a lot of luck there. But I'm excited. Vegas can be tricky because of the altitude. It's a little harder to make horsepower, and hopefully we've got some good data from last year.
All right. Thanks, Robert, for your time. We really appreciate it, and good luck in Vegas.
Thanks, guys, and we'll see you in Charlotte.
All right. Driver of the Auto Club Chevy Camaro for John Force Racing, 37 national event wins.
That's a good percentage.
Yeah.
That really is. I didn't notice that before, but man,
Yeah.
it's hard to. I don't know how you do that. 3/4 of the time you go to the final, you win. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a great number. It's something that jumped out of the page at me, and I hadn't noticed it before that. But 37 up, 20 down. I mean, you go to 57 finals. I mean, you've done a lot. Yeah. In your career, and he's done just about everything, including the 2009 Funny Car Championship. When we return, speaking of champions and a guy that's won a lot of races, we will talk to the winner of the Pro Bike category at Gainesville and has done that a lot. Eddie Krawiec will join us next.
This is The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. More right after this.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Break Deals event. Take advantage of O'Reilly's Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Join the Motor Racing Network every Tuesday evening for NASCAR Live. Eli Gold, along with the cast of MRN personalities, will take you into the sport of NASCAR like you've never heard before.
And the intent was right there. There wasn't no, oh, oops, I bumped into him. This was, look out, here I come.
And what would NASCAR be without the fans?
As a fan, it was like, whoa.
It's NASCAR Live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
NASCAR K&N Pro Series East opened up, and it was Todd Gilliland picking up the race win.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast.
How do you keep it all in perspective? You're a 15-year-old. You got to be able to enjoy things at the age of 15 other than racing.
Yes, my mom makes sure that I keep my grades up. It makes it a lot less stressful to miss school because you can just do it online and then hand it in next day or at school. Teachers still don't like me very much because I still have to miss quite a bit of school. They understand it, and they've got my back.
NASCAR Coast to Coast every Wednesday at noon at MRN.com. It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Now here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Big thanks to Robert Hight and Terry McMillen for joining us so far on The Straight Line, and joining us right now on the telephone line, the winner of the Gatornationals in their debut event in 2016, and driver of the Harley-Davidson Screaming Eagle V-Rod, Vance and Hines joining in on that. Eddie Krawiec joins us. Eddie, congratulations on the win, and thanks for your time, man.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. As always, good to be on the show.
It's always good when we talk to you, Eddie. And man, what a good job. We didn't get a chance to talk to you this year when you were down there setting up the awning, but wow, you
actually were talking to Andrew, and I busted I busted on him a little bit. I said, they're probably going to bust your balls about you having to set up the awning. And he's like, well,
so Andrew got out of setting up the awning because we were talking to him. Oh,
that is correct.
Shoot.
Wow.
That's funny.
Yeah,
for everybody that doesn't know, almost every year down at Gainesville, the pre-race show, we talked to Eddie Krawiec, and he says, he's got the cell phone held up, by his shoulder, and he's setting up the awning. So this year, he got out of that. Now that is good to know. But great run down there at Gainesville, the Vance and Hines Screaming Eagle Harley. Man, you guys knocked him dead. Low ET, top speed, won the race. Tough.
Yeah, thanks. It was. It definitely went well. I had a great motorcycle. Pretty much, we went down to Valdosta, did some testing, and ran well there. We sort of just chipped away at the tune-up. We came off the truck, and there was a couple people there testing already, and heck, they were probably, better half of a tenth in front of us, half a tenth, 5/800ths in front of us, and we just chipped away at it, made runs, and just kept tuning. Before you knew it, my bike busted out an 680 in testing. So I knew once we got there, it was definitely the right direction. We started finding some speed. We actually got our bike running really well in the last 300 feet of the track. And for us, that's always been a struggle. And we've ran good speed in years past, but since we've had to switch to this new fuel, we really struggled in the speed area. But Mine was running 197, 198 in Gainesville and running really strong out the back. So I'm excited. I got a good motorcycle. The key is when I unload at the next race, the tune-up doesn't stray off and not want to be what it is.
Yeah.
What do you have figured out at Gainesville, Eddie? I mean, you have won 4 times at Gainesville over the past few years. You've really got something figured out down there at Gainesville.
You know, to be honest, it's one of those tracks that you're just really comfortable at, and you have a good setup. Your bike works well. The thing with Gainesville, it's a struggle for us to actually get down that track. Right lane a little more than left because there's a big crown on that racetrack. And for anybody out there that doesn't really understand, the crown is the degrees of the angle from the center line. And Gainesville has a really hard pitch-off in the right lane going right. So, you know, our motorcycles, you don't notice it with a car as much because you got 2 wheels on the track, and you're usually straddling that high end of the crown. For us, with one motorcycle tire, basically it tends to pull it whichever way the track's going. So my setup works really well. The key to going fast and running big speed is making straight line runs, and that's what I was doing. Left lane for me was probably a few hundredths quicker because right lane you had to hang off. If you go back and you see the footage, you'll notice a lot of the bike competitors in the right lane are always leaning to the left. And you're sort of wadding up the sidewall of the bike, and that's not ideal.
No, I wouldn't imagine so. What's the pressure like when Willie G's in the house and his son is there? Of course, Willie G. Davidson of Harley-Davidson. That's usually a sign that you better pick it up.
Well, even worse is when you have the fast motorcycle. You know, it's like the number 1 qualifier. You're running well.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks you should win, but then you throw that on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the long run, it's like, hey, just don't screw this up. You have everything it takes to win this race. So, you know, that was the pressure side of it for me.
Sounds real easy.
You know, yeah. So
Yeah,
it was.
no.
It's awesome. Yeah, you know, and to have Willie and Billy there is something extra special. Willie is a die-hard race fan. He doesn't care what it's doing, whether it's drag racing, flat track, anything motorcycle related. He's just a die-hard race fan, and to get him another win there, it's definitely awesome to be a part of.
Hey, Eddie, with your bike going over 198 miles an hour at Gainesville, we got to ask the question, how close is 200 miles an hour? Is it, do you think, can you foresee it happening this year?
You know, I'm going to be honest. Before Gainesville, I was probably a little skeptical and saying, nah, you know, it wouldn't happen. And then I made that last run in Valdosta, and I went high 197. And, you know, it got me thinking a little bit for Gainesville. I'm like, well, if it's really cool and we do have a tailwind, we could run fast. Charlotte last year, if you remember, Hector Jr. went 199. And
yep.
We had a tailwind that day. We can't do it without the help of a tailwind, but when you look at what I'd like to say is a perfect storm rolling into Charlotte, because Charlotte's a downhill track. It can be really good air. And then you also have all the conditions of a possible tailwind, everything. If all that happens, I'm going to say, yes, I think we can go 200. So, you know, weatherman will tell us when we get close to it. Just wish for some 60, 65 degree and sunny weather, because that's what it's going to take.
What was the deal with the Gator trophy and or plaque with a gator head on it? I saw those in Victory Circle.
You know, I really don't know, but Gainesville, from what I understand, all the NHRA tracks this year, NHRA is doing like a little special memorabilia thing. So, you know, you got a golden gator, as I'd like to call it. I'm not really sure, but they brought it while we were up on stage, and they brought the thing out, and it was a little shocking, but it was kind of interesting and cool. So I guess I now have a gator head to put in my house.
That is cool. Hey, Eddie, tell us, we usually talk to you a little bit about Suzuki's because you're the Suzuki dyno guy over at Vance and Hines Racing. Tell us a little bit about the Suzuki's and what you think they have in store this year for the Pro Stock motorcycle class.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Underdahl was basically a new package out of Vance and Hines this year. We converted his bike over to fuel injection. It's basically all controlled by a Motec M130 box, which is the newer generation Motec box. You know, so we worked with him, and and developing a map. And our Suzuki engine builder is actually sort of crew chiefing the bike for at least the first part of the year here to help those guys and build a good combination. He ran some big speed too, 197 and change, but I think the Suzukis honestly are still the fast combination. Those bikes, they can haul the mail. I think you're going to see just guys that need to hit their stride. Jerry and the War Racing team, they made a couple changes over the winter to the chassis and the bike. So I think as they work into it, they'll start running better. And you got to make changes over the winter to see if they're, if you're going forward or backward. And luckily enough for us and our Harleys, we made all the right changes. So we're going to steadily feed in all of our R&D and development parts and pieces, probably throughout the season, just so we can make sure. Because some of the stuff I'm going to guarantee you, if we have a pile of 10 parts sitting there, I'm going to guarantee 4 out of that 10 is going to slow us down. And we don't want to throw it all on there at once and know what works and what doesn't. So we're just steadily chipping away at it. It's a long season. When you look at the way our point system works now with resetting in the middle part of the year, why do you want to all of a sudden run great right at the head of the start of the year? Right. So you got to pick away at it and make sure that you have the right combination. Right tune-up is even more important.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, Eddie, because you mentioned that one of your guys is a crew chief for another team, and people would say, "What are you crazy? You're sending your guys over there to work with the enemy?" But no, that's how you do business, right?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Advance and Hines, our goal is we want the class as a whole to be, well represented, and more important, all the brands need to go fast. You look at the Hectors, and they run really well. Hector Jr. and Senior there, and so they're sort of representing, and Chip Ellis. You got these guys representing the Buell, Matt Smith on the Victory. You have the Suzukis and us with the Harleys. So we have a lot of Suzuki customers. We're always doing R&D and development work for them to offer them better products and better components, because ultimately, as the class goes faster, those guys need to go faster too. And for us, it's a business. In the long run, it is about making the class better and moving the class forward. But short term, it's business stuff, and we're out here trying to generate revenue as well as customers.
Well, there you have it. That you answered my question pretty well about the Suzuki, so that was awesome, man. And just a great job down in Gainesville. You guys always run so strong and are really the class of the Pro Stock motorcycles, and have been for a long time. I was telling Andrew last week, I remember when I was a kid hanging on the fence watching Terry Vance race at Orange County International Raceway back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, and we appreciate it. It's one of those things that Harley pays us to win. We are a dedicated race team. Our goal is to win, so when you go to the races, you want to do your best. I mean, we have a lot of guys back here at the shop, and the way I break it down for a lot of individuals, we have 5 guys that are steadily involved in this program day in and day out. We put in an honest 400 hours a week, 300-400 hours a week into our motorcycles. And when you put that amount of time into them, you should run well. You deserve to run well. So that's what we focus on.
Well, Eddie Krawiec, winner at the Gatornationals and driver of the Screaming Eagle Harley from Vance and Hines. So great job in Gainesville, and good luck this upcoming season.
Thanks, guys. I hope I get to speak to you an awful lot this year. So
yeah, I think you will. We'll see you here in a couple of weeks down at the Four Wides.
Yes, perfect. I'll also have to swing by the tent and say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie Krawiec, driver of the Vance and Hines Screaming Eagle Harley-Davidson V-Rod, and winner of the Gatornationals. And when we return, we'll wrap up another great edition of the show.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. We'll have more right after this.
For a professional option of moving your trucks and heavy equipment safely, effectively, and on time, you can count on Houseby Transport. We serve nationwide and global industry-leading companies through a network of experienced carriers. We provide both drive-away and hauling service, regardless of equipment size. We handle all permitting, making your transport and logistics job that much easier. For more information or to request a quote, contact us today at houseby.com.
Get all the reactions and latest word from the track immediately following each race weekend on MRN's Motorsports Monday with Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Johnny Sauter drives the number 21 Chevrolet Silverado.
I didn't know that necessarily we'd been first race of the year.
Log on to MRN.com every Monday at noon Eastern or stream the program from the MRN Media Center on demand. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, only on the Motor Racing Network.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Danica Patrick to the front of the field at Talladega. They are side by side behind her. Jimmy Johnson.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Always appreciate you being here on The Straight Line. And breaking news, Doug's got a weekend off. When does that ever happen?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure it won't be a weekend total off. We'll find something to stay busy, doing some work somewhere. But we're upcoming. I talked to Larry Dixon the other day. We signed one of his son, Donovan, actually up for brakes coming up in Indy. So we're going to be in Indy with the brakes program and actually with the Mopar people. Generally, Kia is a big supporter of brakes, and almost all of our schools we do with our Kia vehicles. But in Indy this year happens to be one we're doing with the Mopar Road Ready, the Chrysler Dodge vehicle. So we're going to be up there and looking forward to that in a few weeks. So go to the Put on the Brakes website and learn a little bit more. If you live in the Indy area, anywhere around there, come on out, bring your teenager out. It'll be a great decision that you've made to bring them out. And, there's really no downside to it. It's a free program. Come out. Right. We're going to teach them some things that could potentially save their life.
All right. And, that just freaks me out that Donovan Dixon is going to be in a, driving in a car when I saw him. I mean, obviously you competed with him and saw him personally, but I remember him, down in Victory Lane, so many times down there. Just a little kid. Now he's up here, going to be driving. But
you know what that means, Marty? We're getting old, Marty.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Old.
So if you're in the Indianapolis area, make sure to go to, and the information is there on the screen. PutOnTheBrakes.org for more information, especially about the upcoming events at Indy and other places, because you are going to be one busy dude after this weekend where you got a little time to breathe, and then after that we're going.
We're going to be in Englishtown, New Jersey, for the fans up there. We're also going to be down in Bradenton at the Sarasota, Bradenton, Tampa area. We've got more classes in California, in Southern California, also up in Northern California, in Seattle. We've got a class coming up in Seattle, so we're going to be there at the what are they called? Pacific Raceways. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Good. How about the shout out this weekend for Clay Milliken, have top speed of the race. Great job by those guys out there. And then Jason Line, low ET and top speed in pro stock.
Second in points, Clay Milliken. Yeah. All he needs is to get that Wally, and that is coming soon. Thanks for everybody joining us. Terry McMillen, Robert Hight, and Eddie Krawiec. So for Doug, for Robbie, for Daryl, I am Marty. We will talk to you next week here on The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday at noon Eastern on MotorRacingNetwork.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or you can download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.